The stage of Vi Schwartz.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the BCS 2023 World Finals. We just finished round 2, and we just saw Adventure Time. Kokeren play Adventure Time, beating 2-1-2 dead on Nino quintessential quintuplets.
Yep.
It was a very, very wild game with 2-1-2 dead, standbying a lot of cards on board, and every time getting his board removed with a Demon Bloodsword. And one very special thing in that matchup was that even though it wasn't very likely to finish, Kokeren did go for a finishing turn on when his opponent was on 2-3, I believe.
Yeah. So I think it is pretty unusual, as you said, that it happens, but it was a pretty good call, even though he wasn't likely to probably end the game straight there. It was fairly likely that enough damage was going to land such that Kokeren would be able to win on his following turn. And he was able to bounce cards and work out based on his opponent's stock that he won't be staring down double finisher next turn. So he can just have a moderately decent deck state, and because quintuplets doesn't have any great ways to decompress the opponent, he can just cancel reasonably, and he should be able to kind of go into his next turn pretty comfortably and then end it there. And the turn count and everything, it really worked out well for Kokeren, so that was a good show of his skill there.
Yeah, it was a very interesting situation where he was still at 2-5, so he's very likely to survive.
Yeah.
And his opponent, he managed to remove his opponent's board, so that he only has he doesn't have any finishers on board, even though it's like I think he had 2 standbys or 3 standbys the turn before. That doesn't happen very often. Yes,
No, it really doesn't. And I think Demon Bloodsword being basically only an Adventure Time in terms of at least played sets.
we have
it is
Talavru, I guess.
Yeah, we have Talavru, Wormhole, but that set hasn't been played in a hot minute. So it's definitely a situation unique to Adventure Time as well. And I think the fact that he was able to stand by out to Jake and Finn's at level 2 also is not that common, given that he only plays 4 standbys in his deck. But
definitely.
Unique situation, but he did navigate that pretty well. So I'd assume that he'd sort of experienced a situation like that before, probably in a practice game or something, and he just really knew what's going on and what to do.
Yeah, it's like what's the worst that can happen after that, right? Yeah. You can't take. He was in a very lethal situation at the end, but
But I mean,
he managed to cancel through. So
as long as you don't take everything, it's fine.
exactly. You just have to cancel 1, burn 3, and everything's fine.
Yeah. So while we're waiting on the next round, so that was Adventure Time, which I think aside from Avatar was the only English original title that we've seen on stream so far.
Yes, we have seen 1 English original stream in each game so far.
And I think we have got 2 other ones in the tournament: 7 Deadly Sins and I think Guilty Gear Strive.
Yeah.
I think Guilty Gear is still kind of the black box for us, at least in terms of the information that we can give you. But for 7 Deadly Sins, I think there were 2 different builds that people have used to qualify. So the more popular one, the more popular / well-known one is the somewhat recently re-nerfed Escanor build.
Was it nerfed or
no? It was like. So I'm somewhat joking with the re-nerf, but the restriction list was changed so that instead of the level 0 being restricted alongside the balance side, it's now the level 3. So it effectively doesn't really make a big change for the Escanor deck. It's just for other decks who wanted to play the level 0 Escanor, now your bouncer is back. Yeah,
finally.
Yeah. Do you have any strong thoughts about that deck, or is it is it notably worse since? Well, obviously it's notably worse since the first time it was released. But where would you position it? Do you think it has any decent matchups that you want to talk about?
Let's see. 7 Deadly Sins, huh? I've seen a couple of builds floating around with a Soxel and the other top end. I don't remember what his name is.
Hendrickson,
Hendrickson,
the blue guy.
Yeah. Exactly. I think it does decently well. You can just kind of keep slamming Soxels every turn.
That level 0 combo is really strong, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy actually. It's it's so weird to have that on a brainstorm.
Yeah, like a plussing brainstorm that also
keep it
pauses
in
when you
back
play
row.
Climax, and you can just do whatever you want with your front row as long as you have more climaxes, which with the gate slash man's trigger should be pretty good.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to worry about it too much. So yeah.
And you have the level 1 Meliodas that can just always get another level 1 Meliodas.
Pretty much.
It's a very strong deck.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the few sets that have access to both Stock Swap and Decompressor or Familiar effects, where you can send all your opponent's stock to the waiting room, pull out an equivalent number of cards from top of their deck, and then shove their waiting room back into their deck. And with the way that the deck plays the game, you actually do have enough resources to be able to do that in like enough games. And you can just hit your opponent with the burn force from Hendrix, and that often does steal the deal. So I think if things don't go south, that deck is very potent. And it's interesting it came out, like the concept of that deck, or rather like it started doing well a lot longer after the set came out and after the first restriction as well.
It's actually kind of similar to the old Konosuba game plan in two worlds ago.
Yeah, it is. You use a stock cell combo and you gain resources from that.
And you just burn 5.
Yeah, and you burn
in this
5.
case, burn 4.
Burn 4, yeah, which is, I guess, a slightly stronger number.
Slightly better, yeah.
Yeah, but they have some good decompression options too. So, yeah, keen to see that come up if the opportunity arises. But it does look like we have our round 3 matchup ready. So,
let's see what we get.
all right.
We have ZMIC on the quintessential quintuplets. What could it be? He doesn't have sleeves this time.
Oh no.
And we have Birry on the right playing That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. For Slime, we are most likely to just expect, I guess we only really know Muron, right? It could be any other combo, basically.
Yeah, the bottom, like the level 1 game could be anything, but it looks like from what we see there, it's going to be the standby variant.
And we have an Ichika on the left side.
Yep. Which, I was going to say, based on the orange sleeves, I was going to expect that it was the fourth sister, Yotsuba, with orange hair, but I guess this is a mislead of sorts.
Yeah, yellow, orange, close enough, kind of.
Yeah. Alright, so starting off we have... Birry has clocked.
Standby combo, right?
So it seems like
yeah,
he's playing the level 1 standby combo, and he's tossed the level 1 because otherwise if he triggers a standby down the line, he won't be able to bring anything out. So that's the level 0 Milim. When it comes into play, you can choose a card in your hand and put it into stock. You can pay 1 and send to waiting room to top 4, add a character to your hand. He's used both effects to use the stock ability on turn 1 and then attacks with a Brainstorm.
Is that a common play pattern for this deck?
I don't think I've seen that happen before, but it does fill his waiting room, I guess, with some
3
extra
climaxes so far.
Yeah, that's not too great. But you know, it's still early game. I don't think it's gonna affect too much quite yet.
Yeah, it should be fine. I don't know if this list of slime has a lot of ways to mill through your deck too much. But it does run that card, so maybe he has optimized it a little bit to be able to get through your deck.
Yeah, possibly. I think the other thing is it might have been that he didn't draw that many level 0s off the top, and he wanted to go through his deck, but he didn't. In order to make an attack, he had to use that card, so he just decided to play it out this way. Yeah. So making 2 attacks here with Ichika. Soul turn triggers a choice. I think that's... Oh, okay, interesting. So this Ichika build by ZMIC, zmic,
ZMIC, I guess.
ZMIC, yeah. Is just playing 4 copies of the level 1 Ichika combo and 4 copies of the level 3. And is not playing the somewhat popular early play. Yeah, so looks like he's going to be playing the level 2 quite differently. But anyhow, that means that he can play cards like the level 0 Ichika that's on his left slot. It is a level 0 2K with the ability where if it goes to the waiting room, you can pay 1 and clock 1 from the top to reveal 2 cards from the top and add any characters from among them. So he can be a bit more aggressive at this stage of the game thanks to that card.
Is it unusual to have that card in a normal list, in a triple combo list?
I think in the triple combo list, yeah, you need to use a few more slots for other cards like the early play condition, the early play itself, obviously, and you might even play stuff like the conventional Riki effect, where you can search for a level 1 or lower instead of getting cards from the top 2. So you can get the correct pieces you need for level 1 and level 2.
And on our right, we see Birry prep some level 1 combos.
Yep. So the level 1 combo over here is so 1055. It can't side attack.
Generate stop or
Yep.
something, right?
So when you have the combo, when it attacks, it gets 2 trigger checks instead of just 1. So it generates stock while giving you more opportunities to trigger climaxes. In this case, it would be standbys or gates. So you can set up for your level 2 turn either by getting out more 2-1s or by getting the climax.
And I think we saw there were already 3 gates out.
Yeah.
So it's more likely to find a standby. I think there's also a gate in hand over there. So,
So
are there any good standby targets for this deck?
yeah, there's
Oh,
actually
yeah,
quite a few
Muron,
at level 2. Yeah,
right.
Muron itself, as well as the Shuna 2-1, which is a global 1k if you have the Brainstorm, and also gives all of your other characters the ability where they can't be targeted by opponent's con effects. As long as... got them around. So it gives 1k regardless of whether you have the Brainstorm, but if you have the Brainstorm, it gives your other characters the ability where they can't be targeted. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff you can bring out at level 1 using the standby. Alright, and looks like... Alright, and triggers a standby on the first one, brings out a second Muron,
Wow.
trigger another one, and that's a level 3, what is this guy, Benimaru?
And it seems like Birry doesn't even need anything else other than just having cards on board to use the combo. So I think next turn it will be a gate combo.
Yeah, and Birry doesn't even need to hit level 2 in order to do that anymore, which most of the slime list actually do have to think about, but you know, with that double standby, he can just start snowballing his Muron.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy. It's like 10-5. It's going to be very hard to remove for ZMIC.
Yeah, it will be.
There is one card in Ichika that might be able to remove it, I think. There's an event that bounces.
Yeah, so there is a level 1 event. Its name is Treasuring Her Honest Feelings. You can only play it if you have an Ichika. You put the top 2 cards from your deck into the waiting room and salvage a level X or lower character with Ichika in its name, whose level is equal to or lower than the total of the milled cards. And then if the total level of the cards sent to the waiting room is 3 or higher, you can return
and
a
we
card
see
to
it
that.
in play also.
Yeah, so there it is, and and you can also rearrange the top 2.
Yeah, that's a lot of text.
Yeah, it's a lot of text, and
It doesn't seem like it hit the bounce though.
yeah, I guess not. And it's nice when you do, but honestly, I don't think it's something you can just expect to happen all the time. It's more of a bonus. However, he has triple comboed, and he will be getting quite a lot of hand here. The level 1 Ichika combo, at the end of the attack, it can reveal top and salvage a level X or lower, similarly to the event. And it also can pay 1 to get 2 trigger checks. So unlike Rimuru, it won't be able to generate free stock unless you trigger a choice. But it does hand fix directly as well, so dealing with the board here and getting his hand ready for level 2 so he can deal with the Muron plays. Or at least, regardless of whether Birry hits level 2, there will still be Muron plays. But
It also always just helps to be able to clean out your stock whenever you trigger a climax. So.
Yeah, the most annoying thing that can happen though is that you pay out a choice and you trigger a choice immediately on the next one, but I mean, I guess this is part of the game, so.
Yep. Can't play around everything.
Uh-huh. Alright, so.
He's currently resolving. He's attacking.
Yep.
And opting not to twin drive because he doesn't have any stock yet. And revealing a level 3 with it. Meaning he can actually prep his level 3 early play, right?
Uh-huh. So while zmic or ZMIC is not playing the combo early play, he is playing the other early play, which you can play if you have 4 Ichikas on the stage. When it comes into play, you can discard a card to add a choice from your waiting room to hand, and if the top card of your deck is an Ichika, you can put it into your hand. And then you can pump 3k to another character with fit attacks while we have 4 other Ichikas, which if you early play it, you always should.
Yeah.
So, so he can just keep getting climaxes to attack for a bit more damage and possibly use more combo to keep his card advantage up.
But starting next turn, it's going to be hard. Does this card reach 10, 12?
So
Usually you have to
he-
reach the 12-5 baseline to be able to clear Muran.
Yeah,
And
it's
there's
sort of
backups.
up to whether or not Birry hits level 2, which it doesn't look like it's going to happen, which means that he has to get another standby in order to... Okay, yeah, he has to get another standby in order to bring out the 2-1 Shuna to pump his things to a 12-5, which I don't think he can do based on the number of standbys we've seen out. Yeah. So the line required of ZMIC this turn is not as much. Sorry, on the following turn is not as much, but it is still within the counter range from what it looks like. So
It does seem like it's going to be very hard to. He managed to cancel all of the damage, I think.
he has taken one swing. He was on 1-0 at the beginning,
was
so he's
on
taken
1-0,
one,
yeah.
but he's taken two, which is not really a big deal at all whatsoever.
We do see a climax on top for the next turn on ZMIC's side. So at least one of those attacks will be cancelled, but it's going to be very hard to clear the Murans.
Yeah.
And the Murans will be starting to compress in the first deck even. And that's actually not a thing that often happens, right?
No, it's pretty Oh, in phase 3, presumably to get the climax out, but that is the last standby, I believe.
Right. You don't need too much stock in Slime because you can just generate more with Muran.
Yeah, every gate climax you play is +1 stock for each Muron, so I don't think he needs to worry too much about having stock on this turn. Unless he
Yeah.
needs to brainstorm twice or something, but I don't think that's something he needs to worry too hard about.
Yeah, I mean, he probably doesn't have too many climaxes left in deck. He gets to search 2 cards with Muran, so that's an easy way to go through your deck already.
Yep.
And it seems like he's just trying to fill his board so that he can do his combo. He has 8 cards left in deck, so he kind of wants to mill a little bit more.
Yeah, well, with double combo he can pull out 2, and attacking 3 times means that he pulls out a total of 5. I think he wants to move through 2 more, but oh, is that the level 0? Yeah, okay, so looks like you can use the ability of the level 0 Millen to send it to the waiting room and look at top 4 again. So he can go down to a pretty good deck size this turn.
Will we
I
see?
saw that right. It was like 5 or I think it was 6 climaxes in the waiting room.
6 climaxes out on the right side. We have 1 climax on top on the left side. So that's at least 1 cancel over there.
Yep. So stock the level 3 Benny Warren from hand and then use that stock to send to the waiting room.
Yes.
Looking 1 at a time.
Nice.
2.
I think he's going to want to keep his deck at 1 card in total.
Yeah, you probably want to pass with 1 fewer.
Oh, and he's actually...
Oh, okay, so yeah, he's played a card in the back row to fill his board. And then he's played the climax. I assume that represents a climax play.
He's vertically playing his climax. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Do you need a full board? You only need
you need a full board in
other.
order to resolve the combo, yeah. Although you only need 2 other characters for Muron to have the size of 10,500.
Yeah, at the moment it doesn't seem like the Murans are too big yet.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's still
manageable.
controllable, yeah. Because he does not have to brainstorm. Oh, he does have the
He has the
brainstorm, but he doesn't have the 2
yeah,
one.
he doesn't have the 2-1 Shuna yet.
And
So frontal
although
check here.
he might be able to trigger a standby over here to...
I believe he's out of standbys at this point in the game, so
cancel the first one, as we already knew.
yeah. And then this one's a
And-
Falcon 2.
Ooh, he's staying on 1-6, so he might be
1-6.
able to like not clock and
Yeah.
try and
I think he should have enough
stabilize
hand to
from
justify that, but by doing that, it does mean that those Murons will just be entirely uncontested. So
yeah. But it's going to be hard to contest them anyway. He might be able to early play If he early plays, he reaches 11-5.
Yeah. The other thing is though that because quintuplets does not have a stock swap ability to punish Muron for getting too much stock, not dealing with the Murons for an entire turn may just let Birry snowball out of control from ZMIC's point of view. So I think dealing with those cards may actually be a higher priority than staying at level 1 for staying at 1/6 for his own compression.
Right.
I think in order to actually win the game, that he wants to probably remove that option from Birry's game plan.
And we do see ZMIC clocking to level 2 before his first refresh. So that does mean that all of these cards will be going into his next deck.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like he has a climax in his hand yet either.
There's one in his deck,
There's
but
one in
and he
his-
can also salvage one using the level 3 early play that he added to his hand last time.
Oh, right.
So he's looked at the top 2 cards of his deck with the level 0, and I think one of them was a climax, and I think he put it on the bottom.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yep.
And he
He's
saw
revealing
level
for it.
okay.
Solid
He's a
to
level
level
2, and he adds a copy of Habit of Undressing Ichika Nakano. It's a it's a search brainstorm, and when you play a choice, you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's an eventual quintuplet, you can add it to your hand and discard one. But that's interesting. I thought that he would just, if he's going to salvage at level 0, I thought he'd leave the choice on the top so he can at least trigger it to get a card out of it. Because if he does this, then like, okay, yeah, he can add that card to his hand, but unless he specifically wants that card, which I guess is possible, it's probably better to trigger the choice for card advantage. However, this card that he just added to his hand is a one-of. It's called Sneaking into the School Festival Ichika Nakano. It has the ability where when it's placed from hand to stage, it pumps one of your characters by 1 soul. And when it goes, you can send it to the waiting room during your main phase to bounce an opponent's character. So he could possibly choose to use it. I don't think it's worth playing it to return a Muron though, because playing back a Muron isn't that big of a deal. I think the best case scenario is that you use it to bounce a Shuna when it comes out to reduce the power of the Murons by 2k, because the Brainstorm goes stops being a global support without the Shuna. And then you can use it to contest on the following turn, so that might be the reason. And then he's used a copy of that level 1 event to send the climax from the bottom of its deck to the waiting room.
Getting to compress to get it into your new deck.
Yep, and then he gets to mill one more card after this. So if he mills a character, he can just immediately salvage that. And it is a character,
So that's perfect.
it's the one with the 5 names, which can discard a character to draw one when it is played or when it goes to the waiting room. Probably not a hugely important card at the moment, but it does let him draw cards that he sees off the top. He brainstorms here, okay.
That's a search brainstorm, right?
Yeah, that is a search brainstorm. I suppose it does put cards with soul icons in the waiting room.
Oh, right. You have to fill your
Yeah,
grave for choice triggers.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm surprised he wouldn't use the brainstorm before his refresh.
I think he wanted to put the choice that was on the bottom of his deck into his refresh. But yeah, I think that was also an option. Anyway, he replaced the level 0 to play a level 1 combo, so even though he minuses 1 by doing that action, he pluses 1 back anyway, so it's an overall plus in terms of just card selection at least.
Yeah, so it seems like we're only seeing one Muron being contested. Does Slime have an anti-change?
Slime does have
But it's
an
level 1.
anti-change counter, but not a level 1, so...
Yeah, so he has to attack here first.
Yeah. And
And already hitting a choice, so it's a good thing that he milled a little bit. And he also has his Ichikas available to pay that choice out directly.
yep,
So that's kind of exactly what you want with that card.
I suppose so, yeah. But it could backfire and mean that he triggers an additional choice that he wouldn't have triggered otherwise.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It does generate a little bit of sock or hand
Yeah.
or whatever you need. The good thing about choice.
So it's sort of just down to whether ZMIC wants resources or cancels at the moment, which It's kind of a bit of both. I can imagine it going either way, but depending on how fast the game goes for Birry, the resources might actually be better. So we'll see how
Right.
that goes.
He hasn't been taking too much damage, but now he's already at level 2.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's kind of evening out right now.
Uh-huh. But that doesn't mean he gets access to the 2-1 Shuna being played from hand, alongside alongside his Brainstorm also becoming a global 1K. So
We do see the climax being played out, and no other climax is triggered over here.
yeah.
So that's a good thing. We see a cancel.
So cancels one there. It puts
And
another gate in the waiting room. So if Birry can trigger a gate on the following turn, he can plus that while hopefully drawing one off the top. But
I'm actually not too sure if he still has triggers in his grave for this choice trigger that he just revealed.
yeah, it might not have to.
So I think you always attack here, but do you think there's ever a consideration where you just leave that climax on top after revealing it?
I don't think I would at this stage. Okay, so you did have a level 3. I don't think if you can get a card off it, it's worth passing. Oh, okay, so he also has an additional ability on the level support that he just rested in the back row. Its ability is that when you trigger a climax... when you trigger a choice climax, which is every climax in this deck, you can discard a card and rest this to salvage a character. So it gives you a hand swap on the choice, which is pretty nice. It means you can improve your hand quality while taking stock as well.
Yeah, and you can also fill your grave with triggers.
Yeah, it sets up for the next one. It's overall a pretty nice card. But I think for space, like slot reasons, the build that plays the early play combo doesn't play this card. But you know, with the freed up space, ZMIC is able to fit it in, and it does have some nice uses like here.
And in the end, we do see one of the Murans sticking on board, but I don't think Birry already has a climax for this. I was just looking at his level and I was like, huh? Is he still at level 0? But it's all the way over there.
Will he draw a climax yet?
And it's
no
not
climaxes.
a climax.
Okay.
Do they have any other ways of fixing climaxes?
Aside from just having a climax swap, I think there are cards in the set which allow you to dig for them, but I don't think we see any in this particular list. So looks like this is going to be a turn where
he hits
Birry dawdles a bit, but
triple climax on
hits
his
3 on the
Brainstorm.
Brainstorm.
Yeah, I guess maybe this will just be a little bit of a doodle turn.
Yeah, but it's
maybe
justified,
mill a bit
right?
through your deck. It's completely fine.
Yeah. I guess the small scare is because he just lost 3 climaxes off of the somewhat thick deck that he has. He may have to contemplate going through the rest of it, because if he double triggers or something, he does leave himself susceptible to eating a lot of damage. Yeah, that's that looks like maybe 15 or so cards. So even after search 3 here, and say he goes to 12, and he double triggers in the next one. 2 and 9 is sometimes a bit worrying.
Yeah, but in these cases, that card that puts a card from hand into stock, and then mills 4. Which character was it again?
That character is Milam.
That card would be perfect in this situation, but it doesn't seem like he has access to it in his deck.
Yeah. But he has gotten the level 0 Veldora, which can discard 1 and send itself to the waiting room to salvage anything.
It could be anything.
Yep. It is at the cost of a -1, but I don't think that
After
it's too much.
3?
I don't think it's a big fuss when you just plus 3. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be pretty easy to make up for that loss.
Yeah. So.
But only 1 copy of the milling card, the milling.
Yeah. I think Slime, in general, sort of tends not to play many copies of the cards that it doesn't necessarily need to see in the early game, because they just become searchable after a while. And if they're in the waiting room, you can use the Veldora to access it as well.
Yeah. I feel like I'm used to seeing more copies of Veldora. I think this list only runs 1 of them.
Of the Veldora?
Yeah.
Yeah. From what I've heard, most people who play Slime wants to play 2, but are often forced to play 1 just due to not having enough space in their deck, which is somewhat understandable, I guess. This card also doesn't make color for anything being basically the only green card in any version of this deck. It is certainly the only green card in this deck from what I can gather. So
Right, being green is a little bit of an off color for
yeah,
that.
Slime, as I said, didn't have green until the most recent set. So
Mhm.
yeah, the green edition only really helps for color fixing if you're playing the new stuff, but there's no green new stuff in this deck. So anyhow, that's another brainstorm to hit one. So he's moving 5 cards out of his deck, 4 from the brainstorm, 1 from the hit, and then
Yeah, it seems like Birry's struggling a little bit with emptying his deck over here.
yeah, I think he decided to just move through the rest of it after hitting 3, which it's hard to say. It's risky if you double trigger, but if you don't double trigger and you only hit, like, if you trigger 0 or 1, then you're sitting on a great deck that quintuplets can't interact with. So it is certainly a tough call. Oh, okay. So there is the Milim there, and I think. Oh, it looks like he's going to stock a card from hand, and then
Okay.
it's the third time he's done it this game. Oh, he's actually put in a Muron. Okay.
Yeah, I guess you don't need another Mirren if you don't have another combo.
Oh, I suppose so. I was just imagining that he might want to keep it in his hand for
Just in
a
case.
following turn, maybe. But yeah, goes through the deck. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards left in his
Cards
deck.
left.
So attack 3 times. He might leave 2 clean on the bottom. He might not, which is acceptable, I guess.
After all the brainstorming, I kind of expected him to be out more climaxes, but it seems like he still had at least 2 in there.
I think it was just to avoid the worst case scenario of double triggering and then eating a lot, which
Yeah, and then just
is
straight up dying.
it is a major concern. I think it's hard in Wise Schwartz to maintain a lead quite often. Oh, it triggers cancel at the top. Okay.
Yep. It was already revealed through Ichika,
Yeah.
so
Like when you're behind on in this game, it's actually somewhat easier to identify what you need to do, because like your odds of winning are slim enough. There's only like one real answer. But when you're ahead, you need to eliminate your chances of losing, and I think it's hard to decide whether or not it's worth paying the resources to do these things.
there's another climax.
So I'd assume that he's going to salvage he's going to salvage the combo for Muron, but he lost a copy of Muron in his hand, and that just turned into a trump attack. So
Yeah, maybe he still has some other Mirren copies left in his hand. I'm not too sure.
doesn't look like that though. I don't
know.
I can't see any Muron, so yeah, I'm a little surprised that he decided to stock one away. He does have enough stock though, so I guess you can just hit Brainstorm again or something, and it will all be fine.
So on the Ichika side, what is ZMIC going to be setting up in a bit? It's a finisher combo, or
Yeah, so the finisher combo in this Ichika build is level 3 from the newest set. Heals when you play it, and when you attack, I believe, you can pay the cost. And if you do, it gains the ability where if damage dealt by it cancels, you can shuffle X cards back into your opponent's deck, and then burn X, where X is the number of other quintuplets characters you have. So anywhere between 0 and technically 2 and 4, because you have to have 2 other characters in order to use the ability. The issue with this type of card is that it doesn't have reach, because if your opponent just takes the swing, then that's it. So if you're in situations like this where your opponent can afford to just take the vanilla swing, it doesn't really achieve that much.
Yeah.
So I think ZMIC is probably just going to try and stall for a bit longer.
Yeah, this kind of finisher is like probably perfect when your opponent's at like 3-2 or something.
Yeah, if your opponent's, I think, 3-1 or higher, it's
Yeah.
pretty consistently good, but the task just obviously becomes, well, how do you get your opponents at that point?
Yeah, and your opponent also needs to have cards in the waiting room.
Yeah.
So it's possible to play around this kind of combo usually.
So yeah, he's just added a copy of the 2-1, the counter, which stacks something to reduce soul. So defensive option right there, but that card can somewhat be countered by Birry just simply playing down a 2-1 Shuna next turn. So I guess it's a somewhat preemptive kind of action, because if Birry did have a 2-1 Shuna last turn, he most likely would have played it from ZMIC's point of view.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Okay, so he's just grabbed the Climax Swap Ichika, which has the same ability as the Shuna in that it can stock a card from hand.
Yeah, and also the climax swap ability.
And the Climax Swap ability, so solid card. Alright, and then just trying to navigate. Yeah. So I think. Yeah, I think.
Trying to mill, trying to fix your hand a little bit. Probably trying to mill down to his next deck.
Yeah. Birry. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Zenimachi just probably has to win the game by the turn after the next one, which means he has to get Birry to 3-1 by then, to reasonably end the game with combo. Whereas Birry is probably just trying to stabilize with whatever he can do at level 2, because he's not really a finisher deck of sorts. So
yeah, I do think he's out quite a lot of climaxes already. So maybe this will be free damage basically.
It could be, yeah.
And then he might hit like high level 2, low level 3.
There's 5 or 6 in the waiting room. He's triggered a gate last turn to salvage one more, so. Alright, so Birry has used the level 1 Shuna counter. When you use it, it gives 2k power, and you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a character, you add it to your hand and discard one. It's often called a Leafer counter. It's paid out a climax, so it gets a refresh a little bit stronger, and he also removed a card from a damage from the top of his deck, ideally. And I think they're just checking each other's states just before Birry decides what to discard here.
5, 6 climaxes out on the left side.
Then chooses to discard the level 0 Benimaru Climax Swap and leaves a gate in his hand to go back. I think that made it 7 then.
Yeah, I think it's 7 climaxes going back in.
Yeah.
It was kind of perfect that he attacked in this sequence for
yeah,
the Leafer counter.
Yeah, if it was a direct attack, Birry would have had 2 clean on the bottom, wouldn't have paid out that climax, and probably also wouldn't have cancelled there. So
yeah, and his cancel working out perfectly.
Yep, that one's cancelled as well. That's nice for him. This 3 could land, and it's probably not that bad. Oh, it's a 4.
It's a 4.
Okay.
Okay.
That was a bit annoying, but
a bit worse.
He's still not at 3-1, so
there are 2 Murons already.
Yeah, I was gonna say he probably wants to do a Muron turn here, but having sucked one away last turn and 2 stuck in his clock at the moment, it's probably not going to be the best Muron turn that he can imagine. Oh, is he contemplating clocking?
Maybe. I wonder if this is anywhere near finishing
and he
range.
puts away his standby. He goes to 3-0. Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Because what kind of reach do you usually expect from Slime?
I don't know really. Because Slime's finishes are the level 3 Benimaru, which when it attacks you can pay 1, discard 1 to reveal top and deal X equal to the level revealed cards +1. But this kind of effect is a bit volatile in how much damage it does, so it's more there to, like, if you can use that to create a lethal somewhere, it's nice, but you don't usually try to just, like, go for game, per se.
Yeah, and it's also a healer, right? So
yeah,
it's
also
kind of wasted to
Yeah.
use it right now.
The other more finisher-oriented card is Dragonoid Millum, which, when it comes into play, you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a character, it bounce 1. And when it reverses an opponent, you can pay 3 to clock kick. So this one creates 1 confirmed damage if you can get a reverse, and then does 1 more damage or burns off a climax.
That would be reasonably good here, because you only need 1 damage to decompress your opponent from here.
Yes, but the clock kick might not actually work though, because I think ZMIC did access that that 2-1 counter, which can send one of your opponent's your own cards to the waiting room to dodge a reverse. But looks like instead of playing that Millum, Birry has instead played Battle Hungry Shion, which has the ability where when damage dealt by it is cancelled on the turn it's played, you can deal 1 damage. And also when she attacks, you can pay 2, discard 2 to deal... you can put pay 2, discard 2, put all of your stock into the waiting room, and then deal
Do you think he's actually? Oh, he did.
He did go
Pay
for it.
a lot of.
Okay.
Okay. I guess we're trying to finish from here.
Yeah, that wasn't the use of stock that I was expecting, but it happened, I guess. Cancels this swing.
I think they're. Oh, and he's refreshing. So I think he's refreshing with 6 climaxes right now, excluding the
Yeah.
last one from his cancel. I'm not sure. I don't feel like. Wait, he's at 3. He's at level 3 right now.
Okay, so his deck was thicker than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense then.
So this does feel like it's almost over right now, right?
Well, because that landed, with the refresh penalty included, Zenomice is on 3 and 4. Which means that if Birry... if Zenomice can just cancel Birry's level 3 swing from here...
Yeah, but now he can
Okay,
do a
sorry,
side
because that's-
attack with a
yeah.
level 3. It's going to be very, very dangerous.
Yeah. That becoming okay,
but
4.
it's good
Surely
for
this one will
4.
cancel.
Oh,
Alright, maybe not.
Oh, no,
Okay.
game is over. It was looking like it was
Alright.
going to be a little bit of a short game, or a long game.
Yeah, but
But
it was abruptly
yeah.
shortened by the fact that took everything. Yeah, alright, so that game was also a bit faster than we both thought it would be, but
Yeah.
I think it was just that leaving that full clean on the bottom from ZMIC on the left was that was probably the game deciding part. Like, yeah, sometimes you refresh on a solid deck and you don't cancel, and that happens. But
There
if
was
you,
one climax underneath, though, right?
oh, sorry, there was but I think just passing on an uncompressed deck that was probably it was a risk that got capitalized on, and that was probably the deciding factor.
I think definitely for Birry it was very strong to be able to stand by out 2 Murans on the level 1 turn already. So he managed to get a lot of advantage and was able to use it very freely as well.
Yeah.
Got a very good compression into the second deck. So I think he was at a reasonable advantage for the entire game.
Yeah.
But it seemed like ZMIC was reasonably fine over the game. So
Yeah, I think it was
Just-
mostly fine until that last turn. Just
Yeah.
kind of got like sniped on.
just a little bit unfortunate on the
Yeah,
end,
it
but that happens sometimes.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like over the course of the game though, Birry, knowing that quintuplets can't interact with his stock, he was able to kind of hoard quite a lot of stock by using the ability of mill him repeatedly. He got a Muron combo off, all of that. So I think just like that knowledge definitely paid off in his regard as well. And there's not really much that MIC can do about that going into the game. But
Yeah.
yeah, just playing a deck that generates stock against a deck that doesn't really do anything about it is it's a pretty good big advantage going in. So
And Birry
definitely
being able to basically minimize risk by just refreshing whenever he felt like it.
yeah, which is something that ZMIC can't afford to do because
Yeah.
his deck wasn't geared that way.
And it's also something Slime usually doesn't do too well. So it's an interesting tech. The minim that stocks one and also can sacrifice itself to check form.
Yeah, especially not on turn 1. I
Yeah.
don't think I've seen that play before, but
Yeah, but he was already 3 out at that time. So
yeah,
maybe
I guess
it was
like
just
I guess
also risk
because he
management.
got to do it again in the same deck, it paid off that he got to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that more or less wraps out the 3rd round, and we'll be seeing you back on the stream for the 4th round soon.
Yeah, stay tuned. Get a small drink. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Schwartz. Witness the strongest band together on the stage of Vi Schwartz. Ari Fureta, from commonplace to world's strongest. Trial deck and booster pack.